All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me get situated here. All right. Hope everyone had a good weekend. And yeah, just another eventful headline-driven weekend. And let's take a look at the markets here. All right. So futures are down a little bit. Not a lot. We should go right to oil, go right to dollar, right? That's what we need to take a look at. That's what's going to drive the market. That's what's going to drive the market, and everything else, you know, and of course rates and everything else is just a distraction, right? Just a distraction, or it's just a derivative trade off of those three things, those three drivers. So let's see here. Let me see if I can turn my camera on. Hold on one second. I'm going to go back. I want to look at some headlines. Yeah, just looking at some new headlines tonight. A lot of oil tankers. Got some oil tankers being targeted. Iran shot an anti-ship cruise missile. And, of course, there's the new, I guess, information that Trump mentioned that they're looking to leave. Like he wants to leave and perhaps just leave things the way they are. Okay, let me see here. Now I think I'm ready to roll. All right, just running a little bit behind schedule. I'm usually ahead of schedule. Not tonight. Okay, so anyway, let me put my video on there. All right, I think everyone can see me and my face isn't in the way. So I hope everyone's having a good weekend. We had a headline-driven weekend once again, but it's mostly bullish oil headlines is what we're seeing. And again, if you can't hear me, just put in the comments. I did drop a video about SPY 8000 and the road to it. You should take a look at it, especially if you're new to my channel and you just accidentally clicked on this live stream tonight, or you watch it later. It may be worth your time to understand what it will take, and then kind of the path the market could take, the detour. Now, Bitcoin, we are watching. Bitcoin has possibility here. It's getting real. It's like it's touched this like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, like so many times. Typically, like when resistance keeps getting tapped like that, you're gonna get it. It's gonna break through typically. Okay. And again, headlines, Trump has privately admitted defeat. I don't know if that's true. Who knows if he said that, but it says, you know, he's trying to lay the groundwork for victory because we have the election, right? He cannot have this problem persist. And so if he could just pause, get through the election cycle, then perhaps he could resume the war later. That would be ideal. However, a democratically controlled House does harm that even having the election over. So, and perhaps even the Senate. So I have a feeling he's running out of time to really do anything. And then it's going to be, if the United States leaves, it's going to be up to Israel because Israel's going to not allow this to happen, right? They don't want a nuclear armed Iran. And there's a lot of war hawks that would see that as a failure, as well as a major geopolitical embarrassment for all the time and resources wasted into the Middle East over the decades. So I think politically it's going to be very tough to actually just walk away, or some people say tuck tail and leave. I think it's going to be very difficult to do that. So then the alternative is this just kind of tit for tat, and a couple tankers blow up here or there. Well, we already know that's going to just keep driving the price higher. Eventually, there'll be an energy shortage and a much bigger problem forcing a real resolution. And then, of course, there's combat. And that is what he definitely does not want to does not want to do because maybe, one, it wouldn't be successful, and two, it's definitely not popular politically or anywhere with the American public. So he's in a rock and a hard place. And unfortunately, I don't have the solution to give him. So I don't know. The solution maybe was never to do this in the beginning, but now perhaps there's another solution where that just eludes us. But I think they tried to bribe their way into an agreement through these deals, MOUs, and that didn't work. So oil should just keep grinding higher, okay, and it should continue to grind higher. And that's going to affect the markets because it is inversely correlated right now. If oil goes higher, the markets go down. So it's like night as today. So oil higher, markets go down. So if you can predict the path of oil, you should be able to predict the path of markets. Okay, simple as that. I am back on TikTok under a different handle. I mean, still ElliottWaveSage, but I think I got put in zero view jail. I must have said something that upset the algorithm. Perhaps one of my posts was a little too provocative, especially when it's talking about financial, news, stocks, and things. So I have to be careful and soften my communication because it seems like there's a short, trigger there. And then people complain. There are a lot of haters, competitors, people that maybe used to work for me, just people that just hate people that are successful, and they'll complain and file complaints, and eventually, they get through. So TikTok for me, I'm going to try to build that back up. I want to live stream on TikTok, so follow me please there because they won't let me live stream unless I have 1,000 followers. So I got to get all my I need people to follow me on TikTok so I can put this live stream on TikTok at the same time, and then people can ask me questions on TikTok because not everyone goes to YouTube. All right. Then silver, we're talking about silver. Is it ready to crash or not? Well, that's going to be up to the dollar index. And yeah, this is just the pirates, Houthis. They're still going to be at it. Again, tit for, going after Saudi Arabia while I think they feel emboldened to do that. And again, Israel's not going to they can't stop Trump from leaving, but they're not going to allow Iran to become a new superpower. Because if the United States leaves Iran and says, okay, if you guys figure it out, Iran will get a nuclear weapon. And once you have a nuclear weapon, they become a superpower instantly. That's why they want one of those things, right? And they have the Strait of Hormuz, and they're in the center of Eurasia between China, Europe, Russia, all these countries. And so they could call the shots in, when it comes to regional trade, and they can enforce that with nuclear weapons. So the countries, Saudi Arabia, they won't allow it. So this isn't over yet. Now, let's see. I would say looking at this, SMH is also key. We need the semiconductors to drive the market higher. So to get past 8,000 S&P, you're going to need the semiconductors to just continue more momentum. So the key to that is, well, what makes up the semiconductors? Well, you've got NVIDIA and AMD and all these others. And right now, they haven't done anything technically to show that there's a breakout. Yes, they're bouncing, but those are just bear market rallies. And in fact, AMD's chart looks really bad. So it would be just kind of hopium to think that's going to happen. Now, if we see NVIDIA go to all-time highs, and if we can see AMD take out, I think it's like 520, 30, we'll look at it later, then things change. Things change. And yeah, just kind of looking through it. I won't go through all of this. I go through this every weekend for my members, just kind of my thoughts on the current events and news. And I try to save information. This is a new one. Let me kind of move my photo there. So this is the tanker traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. I believe, I don't remember the timing exactly of MOU, but anyway, you can see at the bottom, basically we're not back to normal. Okay. So there's still this math problem. There's still this math problem. Okay. There's this math problem that is going to drive the price higher at some point, right? At some point, the mean, there'll be a reversion of the mean, right? It's obviously being manipulated down, but at some point, the physical price and the futures price, they're going to sync. They're going to come back into sync, right? And the SPR, I don't have that charted, but it's running dry. It's running dry. And they can't run that to zero, by the way. They cannot run the SPR to zero. It's in a cavern, right? It's in a cavern. And if it goes to zero, well, you'll never be able to put anything in the cavern again. It will never. You really are stupid. You should be, go. I mean, let's hope they're not that dumb. So there's a certain level, and we're getting close to that. They can't run that to zero though. So they show this graph like, oh, we got time, we got buffer. No, you can't run that to zero. Like realistically, you cannot run that to zero. The Fed is still pumping money into the economy. So there's stealth QE happening. And just kind of taking a look, VIX is super low. I mean, complacent, historic mass complacency. Earnings this week, not as like exciting, but there's some key information coming out this week. We'll watch. The jobs report obviously got the market all excited, but the unemployment rate fell. Remember, if the the Fed's dual mandate is based on the unemployment rate. So unemployment rate fell because people were leaving the workforce, right? You got baby boomers retiring, and then a lot of people in the middle, like Gen X, older Gen X, they just have given up because of ageism and they just can't get a job anymore. And all these other factors, the competition, to apply for a job now, it takes no effort, minimal effort. So you get thousands of resumes instantly for every job post. And you have AI screening it. And now you have AI submitting the resumes. And then now you have an AI interviewing those. And so it's not even a real person anymore. So the recruitment process is completely broken. The job process is broken, right? It's malfunctioned. It's inefficient. So probably the wrong people are being hired, the ones that actually do get hired, right? And the people that aren't being hired, right, probably deserve to be. So it's all broken. And then you're probably hiring fraudulent people that know how to game the system. So you got this problem, and that will get sorted out, I think, eventually. I don't, again, what's the answer? I can spend a video on that. But the unemployment rate is actually down. So the Fed will still fight inflation. So the market has it wrong. The market has it wrong because they're going to still fight inflation. They're going to want to fight inflation, not worry about unemployment, right? Because it's low, right? Yeah, jobs were lost, but the unemployment rate fell. So anyway, and just kind of looking at things, prepared for a September rate hike. Now the market says he won't hike rates because of the jobs number. I don't know what his plan is, but if nothing changes, he will hike rates. But he will only hike them, in my opinion, as long as the economy is growing at a steady clip still, which means he can hike rates and the markets won't sell off, right? Because the pace and the level of rates is in line with is at the pace the economy is growing, or just below that. If he believes that, then he will hike. If not, he won't, because he follows, again, the prime directive of stocks can't be green. Okay, I'm sorry, stocks can't be red, right? There's this prime directive that is understood by all politicians, government officials, economists that go on TV, CNBC crowds, everyone, that stocks must be green every day. And if they close red that day, somebody failed. There was a policymaker or someone came out and said something wrong and they need to be reprimanded and held accountable. And that's our system. And that's where you get the taco. This whole idea of the taco comes from that. It's a sarcastic way of saying, what did you do today? So I got to change. So they're so sensitive to the market that daily policy is dictated based on the headline, the indices go up or down. And that's because we're at the top of a bull market, of a historic bull market, and a parabolic blow off top on the larger time frame. So this is the obsession, right? You have the speechwriter for Trump day trading on, and things. You've got Trump day trading, you got everyone day trading. He probably is day trading on Robinhood. After his speech, he probably pulls out his app and says, oh, how did my speech go? Oh, I'm green, I did good. Oh, red, I effed up. But if a CEO does that at their company, they'll be fired because you can't manage a company that way. But yet our policymakers, government and are. That's how they manage. So if you understand that, you can predict what these guys are going to do and decide and understand that. You can predict it, because if you filter it through the lens of what decision would they decide, what path would they take, but they cannot allow the market to sell off, then they'll go down that path. And then with that, you can guess policy now for the time being. And that is, of course, creating problems for a lot of a lot of Americans, because, and even non-Americans, general people out there, because change is not happening, because change makes is difficult. It creates uncertainty and fear, and the market sells off on change typically because it's uncertain. So if it generates a sell-off, we don't change. We avoid hard decisions. We punt. We kick the can down the road. So this obsession with the indices being green every day, this prime directive, is not allowing the changes that need to be made to make the world a better place. And because of that, you have this new movement going on in the United States, the socialist, communist, leftist movement. And now I was reading, there's a Democrat that could win senator in Texas, typically a strong Republican state. So the Republican establishment, the Trump, the people that just value the market, they're asleep at the wheel because they don't see this freight train coming that is going to upend the system that they love so much. Because the worst thing that can happen is you get people in charge 3 or 4 years or 5 from now that will actually want the markets to go down and will enjoy watching it, because in their mind, they're like, good, stick it to the rich guy, and we're going to spread our wealth around and give people a chance. And these guys won't be able to do anything, because that's what's going to, and what do you think is going to happen? So this is where like the rubber meets the road. And this is what our charts are showing. We're coming to sovereign debt crisis, a commodity super cycle, the dollar index rising and then collapsing. We have this is what's going to happen. So this is what our charts say will happen. So there's going to be a lot of fireworks in the next 5 years, guys, as we go through this transition. And what do we look like at the end is unknown. But I think we're starting to get I think it's starting to come into focus a little bit. And I think it's alarming a lot of people that are in power right now. Okay, so that's my monologue tonight. I just like to set up with a speech. And I want to go into the charts now real quick and just talk about what's going to drive the indices, and then go into your questions like I normally do. Now, it's always, again, about oil, dollar, and interest rates. So let's go to those and see what's going on. Let's go see oil. All right, oil's up. Okay, now you're like, wait a minute, Trump is doing a super taco here. He's going to just tuck tail and go home. Why would oil go up? Because Iran gets to call the shots, and they're going to create more, again, friction and more complexity for people that need to go through the strait. It's going to cost more money. They have mines that they really don't know where they are. So insurance is going to be higher, and it's going to be problematic. And maybe occasionally a ship may get blown up here and there that doesn't pay fast enough, or doesn't get the Bitcoin to the right address by mistake, right? Their corporation doesn't send the fee to the right person at the right, and and then the guy just blows up the ship. So that has got to now be factored into the price of oil. Also, you're going to have now, when will Israel just go attack Iran and start that with, so you've got all these problems. So the price of oil should rise, and you have this reduced flow, and you've got all this demand from supposedly AI build out and the hyperscaler build outs, as well as you've got to replenish your reserves you used up, right? So somebody's got to buy all that oil and make it. So why would the price go down? The only way the price can go down is a depression in everything just kind of collapses again. And I don't see that, right? So this should keep going higher. So tonight we made a higher high, and so we could be starting the next leg higher. This will pressure the markets lower. Now, is it a straight line up? It never is. So as it pulls back, the markets will rally. Okay? Markets will rally. So we'll make 3 waves up, and then it will pull back, and guess what? The market will rally. It will go up, the market will fall. It will rally, it will fall, it will rally, right? Because we've heard about the, and again, I hear about this too, because it's like, okay, oil's up, oh, market's down. Aha, the market's up. Oh no, that's down. Oh, it's not. Guys, yeah, the market, the market in general always goes like in waves, right? That's why they call it Elliott waves, right? It's not Elliott lines, right? It's waves. Market is a wave, right? The world we live in is waves, right? The state of matter is in wave. Everything's in waves. Okay, it's not this straight line, but we should continue higher. The key level we need to hold is this level. If we hold this level, then we go. Then this will just keep pushing higher and higher and higher. If we break this level, then we could see a bigger push down to these lows, to test these lows. That will allow the market to rally, right? Obviously. All right. Now, let's go take a look at the dollar. The dollar is also at a critical moment. Now, the dollar bears do have a feather in their cap. They are below this this area of was resistance, and it really couldn't hold. Okay, so that favors the dollar bears. But I've shown this before, weekly time frame. We're still on the uptrend in momentum. So it's premature to call the death of the dollar right now. So it's premature to say gold and silver are ready for a super cycle higher, right? Because to get that, you need this. You see that? But all right, our path on the dollar has been pretty firm. Just it's been a little more erratic than expected. But the general idea was, we would come back higher. When here, everyone said it would go lower. We come higher. And then when we're here, when we're here, what's going to happen? Everyone's going to say, oh my God, it's over, but it won't. And then we're going to get this, and we're going to come down. That's what I think. And that is your crypto cycle. That will be your gold and silver super cycle, all that. And of course, it could just keep going lower. We can ignore this black line for now. This will be a new area for discussion later, perhaps next year. Now, when this finishes, when this happens, the interest rates could also do this. And again, the long-term rates are breaking out higher, as we've predicted would happen, right? Everyone was like, let's go to the TLT. No TLT, not yet. And, oh, okay. Now we're coming close to an area here, like this pink area. Now this area could be the dollar is strengthening. The market is anticipating rate hikes. Inflation is building. Oil is building. The market's going down. Gold and silver are going down. Okay? Then what happens here? Well, if you didn't have the prime directive that I mentioned, then you would raise rates. And guess what? You would collapse growth. The economy will deflate. And then you would overshoot, and then guess what? You would cut rates. You see this black arrow. But guess what? The stocks would go down even further. even further and faster because now you have a growth scare, right? Or a recession or worse. But if you think about it through the lens of the prime directive, stocks can't be read. You won't raise rates. What would you do here? You're going to come up with Operation Twist. You're going to monetize the long end. You're going to buy bonds and you're going to drive this down through easing. And you may not call it easing. It may be stealth QE, or maybe it'll be blatant in your face QE. But my guess is it will be hidden, and then they will use a bunch of fancy language and process to convince you that it's being washed out the system through some other mechanism. So the net effect is not inflationary, but we all know it won't be. However, it would scare the bond vigilantes, and of course it would drive demand, and this will drop. And when this drops, guess what happens? The indices go higher and everything melts up. Okay? And that is the top. And that is the path here, right? That is the path that I think we could be in. If we come back down, we get this 4, and then 5 is that, hey, we're going to go just throw QE in there and do this and let's get Trump to the victory, end of his presidency. He can leave at the peak, and we can change the rules on how we measure inflation just in time, and we can all pretend everything's okay, and nobody is going to be hurt by this because your 401ks will go up, and that will be everyone will be very happy. Okay, and again, this was another chart which I had this here, and I've had this for actually several years. Buy TLT here, and then market and growth pump, market peaks, bonds and stocks pump, blow off top. I've had this for this chart for years. I've anticipated this. I'm surprised how long it took, but this is my way I look at the market right now. All right. So that's that path. The other path, like I've mentioned before, is we get up to this level and they don't do anything. And that could happen. And then we just keep going higher. And then you get that super crash, the perma bear super crash, sovereign debt crisis, and Trump is left holding the bag. And he doesn't leave on a high note. He leaves as the scapegoat, and he may be even impeached through this. Who knows? But my point is, I think there'll be some intervention. All right. And I think it will be favorable to the market. And when we come down here, Trump will say adios. A new person will come in. And then all of a sudden, the Fed will have a coming to Jesus and say, you know what? We need to raise rates. Inflation is bad because we just elected this far left socialist. Yeah, let's get to that. And then boom. And then all this happens. And then the indices peak, and that's it. So that's kind of where I'm thinking we're going with the market. And if you're trying to understand the bigger picture and the logic. So this push down would be bullish almost everything. It would be like a 2021 style, a true blow off top, like real fun, right? Fun stuff. But again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Fed chief will raise rates, do the right thing. If he does, then that will actually not be good. That will be more selling. Okay, that will be a much bigger bear market. So that's that. And again, I don't think he's going to, because when you look at his decision making, you look at how he behaved and talked during his last Fed meeting. Yeah, he lost all credibility, and he may have done that intentionally, because I think, again, he made it clear, if you really read between the lines, that he also believes in the prime directive. And don't you worry. Don't you worry. I believe in the prime directive too. I'm not Paul Volcker, right? I'm not going to be Paul Volcker for this. So this is where we are. So now, if you're watching rates again here short term, you have to watch these levels. As long as we stay on trend, we go higher. If we break trend, well, we go lower. We don't make this push higher, and that could allow the markets to rally a little more. Okay, rally a little more, and then we still go higher later. Okay, This is what I'm talking about, the path to 8,000. We could have a direct path right here, right now, right? We do not turn around. This is like, whoops, we're going to turn around and go all the way back down where we came from. And then we'll get there later. So we don't, again, which path? Oil is suggesting we're going to go higher. The dollar index, as of right now, is right on the edge. The bears are expected, and the dollar bears expected, and no, Trump wants to leave and just give this to the Middle East, and that's obviously very bearish for the dollar. The petrodollar era ends, so the dollar's already melting down. Now, if oil can push higher, the market will start believing the Fed will raise rates again, and the dollar will start to rise on that. Okay, that's what I think. Whether Trump does anything or not, whether there's a taco or not. So tonight, just key levels on the futures. I don't really see any break-in. Now, if the Dow Jones breaks this low at 53,882, that should set us up for at least either a 5 waves down, but more than likely another leg down. So that's a pretty big, that's another 1,000 points. Yes, key level 7723. It's in the middle area. Indecision. NASDAQ, same situation. And its key level is 29,237 in the middle area. Russell, key area, 3,000 basically. So these three indices are in the middle area, indecisive. The Dow looking weak. Now, we know Caterpillar doesn't look good. That's the industrials, right? They call it the Dow Industrials, right? So the industrial sector probably is going to sell off soon again. Okay, now there's other things in the DJI besides Caterpillar, but we know that United Health, yeah, I think it's got a little more downside, but not much. And a few other bellwethers, Apple and stuff, could double correct. So yeah, I mean, I think again, my thinking is we're gonna go lower. Okay, I don't think we're gonna come back and take this high out. That's what I don't think so. All right, but we'll know pretty soon, especially I think early in the week. Now Bitcoin, like I said, this key area of resistance now. Why do we care about that line? You can only appreciate it if you zoom out. It's a little messy, but I can't delete this. You got this big head, and you can see I can draw a neckline a couple different ways. And if I draw this neckline here, it's on it. So we've already breached the neckline, right? And we back tested, got rejected, and it came back to the neckline, reject it. Oh, we almost got through, rejected again. And now it's come back 3 more times. So think about it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It has tagged this 13 times and it can't get through. So there's a whale that does not want this breaking out. It wants to squeeze. It wants to squeeze, but there's obviously coordinated. There's something coordinated because this should squeeze. Somebody's boxed it in, does not want it to go down. I mean, go up. They're desperately trying to short. In fact, I was just reading something online. If someone went 500 time leverage short here, and maybe it'll work out for them, right? Maybe, but that's the kind of I guess that's the kind of confidence the short trader in Bitcoin has right now. So they're doing heavy leverage short bets. Okay, heavy leverage short bets right here, right now. Okay, so our group, we bought Bitcoin here, and we'll just wait. Our channel bought Bitcoin here, and we'll just wait. I still think it would be better to have it squeeze, and then you can get a bigger sell-off later. All right. And then gold and silver, obviously it's, everyone's dreaming about that right now. It's in a dangerous area because the dollar's right on trend. So if the dollar breaks higher, right, off of that weekly momentum trend line, this will go down. It won't go up. If you say it's going to go up, it's just hoping. You hope it goes up. I hope it goes up too. What the hell? I've got gold, right? I hope it goes up too. I'm an investor in gold. I hope it goes up. But guys, I have to read the chart the way it is. I have to read what I see. You've got, again, you've got a failed cycle here and here and lower lows. This is highly likely to be down here at some point before way up here. All right. Now, could it go higher? Sure. If the dollar is going to do that flat, yeah, it'll go higher a little bit more. But that will push this box lower. So, but as of now, we don't know that. So we have this at a very key moment, and silver also at a very critical moment. And this will drive silver down to like 40 bucks or so. Now, the gold to silver ratio also is on support here. And anytime this gold to silver ratio has moved higher, silver has dropped considerably recently. That's the correlation, right? Someone's like, oh, that just means gold will move more than silver. Well, it may, but I have a feeling that's not what it means. Okay, here in this context. Now we are looking for this push higher, and as long as this support holds. So again, if you're following people, listening to people that are like, oh my God, it's going to 300, 400. I think it's ready, it's ready, it's ready. You're basically buying a metal at resistance, which from a standpoint of a trader, that makes no sense. And this is called sloppy trading, right? The gold to silver ratio is at support. It's not at resistance, at support. So you should short silver here, right? Short. Why would you go long? Why do you go long, right? Why would you go long, right? At, or short, you know what I mean? Why would you go long where it's at resistance, right? Or at, or here in the opposite. Why would you short at support, right? So it makes no sense to me why people get so excited. Yes, it's going to be very excited in the future. The other thing is the excitement also tells me the bullish sentiment isn't been washed out properly. All right, that's the other thing. Like it is in Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I can't find a Bitcoin bull anymore. Guys, the Bitcoin and even the perma bulls of Bitcoin, they're not posting anymore. They're getting yelled at by their followers. It's sentiment is bad. Not as bad as the 3,000 low of Bitcoin, where people were throwing out ant miners and servers and all sorts of shit, literally throwing them into the dumpster and videoing them doing that. That's pretty bad. We're not at that point, but it's bad. I mean, sentiment is as bad as it can get. Find me any influencer out there that's telling you Bitcoin will go higher from here, right? There's very few. Now, I like I said, I don't have a love for Bitcoin other than I just like to make money. And we do have a long here. As long as this low holds, it can go higher. So why not buy it, right? Why not? And that's what we did. Yes, it could go lower. So, but we don't have this ego to be like, I have to be right or wrong. Like we just trade whatever we see. And I was looking at structures with higher highs here. And I just kind of logically look at that and go, we need to try. Because this, if it was that bearish, where's the selling? Where's the fear? Why aren't the shorts that effective anymore? Where's the real, like, I don't see it. That's the problem. So the only thing that could drive this down here, like without the squeeze, would be a market meltdown, a catastrophic market meltdown where there's a global liquidity event. And then people just sell Bitcoin just to sell Bitcoin. We saw that in COVID, right? Where Bitcoin flash crashed. Maybe that's what people are expecting. All right. So I think we'll leave it there for now, guys. Let's go into your questions. And thanks again for calling in. And again, if you're not a subscriber, join my YouTube channel. Join my YouTube channel and become a member. You can read the free material. You can also, it's $5 a month to get daily updates at the end of the day. And we do give good insight into the market, just like you heard every day. And again, each day the data is different, so the forecast changes. So there's an expiration date on everything I just said, right? Because guess what? After 24 hours of trading, what I said may be invalidated and we need to adjust our view. So you have to listen constantly. You can't just listen and come back in 2 weeks and go, you said this and this happened, but wait a minute, you didn't hear each day leading up to where we are now, where we've readjusted and we were able to maneuver around, landmines that showed up. You can't just listen and come back 3 weeks and go, where are we? Oh, it expires. So it expires. So you have to listen and find a way to stay connected daily. If you don't, you could be trading off of stale information. Okay. Anyway. All right, guys. Thanks again. Let's turn my camera off. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and move my mic a little bit here so I can get to my keyboard. All right. So we had a few questions. I got a little bit of a start earlier on them, so I appreciate that. All right, let's take a look here. Tilray. So Tilray had a nice reaction trying to find a low. It did not break the low, so it's still alive. And one of the things we look at is the cycle over or not. So we try to find here, and you see that, you see here, you see here, and you see that. Okay, now look in this. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 would be your breakout. So it seems, again, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think it's not. I think it's going to go lower. Okay, it looks like you're still in the downtrend, and I think you've got at least another leg down. Okay, now if it could continue higher and break above 494, well then the cycle is done, and then this is that connector, and it's just a shallow, and then you would correct the entire thing, and it could form a low. So right now though, I would still be careful, hoping, because you're in the middle area, right? If you really look at this is just 3 waves up, no divergence, and you have 3 waves down and 3 waves up. You have it's a flip of the coin, a lottery scratch off ticket. What you should do here. All right. So I think as long as you're below this this level right here, then I would expect more downside. Okay, I would expect more downside. All right. Okay. So that's Tilray. Next is this 5-9. We were expecting a breakout, and we did get it, which is good. And it turned into a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. It looks like it's going 3 of 3. It's really just, just hold on tight. There's really nothing to analyze but enjoy the ride higher, because it looks like it's moving into a stage, 2 type advance, and it broke. You see this? This worked out exactly how we thought it would, right, on our earlier live streams. So, and if you look at my chart, I mean, it looks like it could go into a new bull market. Now, we know it will make a 3 typically, but we don't know as we get to 4 and 5. So if you don't get the 4 and 5, remember, once you get the 3, it could still come back and take out those lows. So you really need to see this full impulse to get more confidence that you have a major low. But obviously, I would expect more upside. Next thing is this Case-Shiller Home Price Index. And we've been charting it. I think our last look, we were like, could it do a flat or not? It looks like it's doing this 3 and 4 here. Like you got a 1, 2, a 3, 4, and it looks like another 1, 2, and you're in some kind of 3, 4, 5, something like that. We have a lot of bearish divergence here. So it's some kind of fifth wave. And then, of course, after a 5, what happens? It corrects. Okay. So it looks like more upside. So it seems like home prices are, or at least this index wants to rise. Okay. It looks like that. Now, we don't have like all the data, right, we normally do when we graph with something like this. But just in general, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this little dip, that could have been 5. I guess I should mention this. This could still be 5 here. Okay. And we could still do the flat. I shouldn't rule that out. And we don't have enough data, granular data, with something like this to know. So this is also possible. But that's right. It's typically, and we're seeing momentum increase. So to me, I would just expect it to go higher for now. And then top. And then go down. That's kind of what I think you want to expect. Now, if it comes back down and breaks this low, it's a flat. Then expect a much bigger pullback. But remember, it usually only pulls back to the 4. All right. But since it would correct the entire thing, right, it may be sideways and choppy. So it may do something like this, potentially. Right? The other path, which we've talked about, is the back test of the breakout here. And if it's a flat, then you go straight down here. Okay, now that scenario would be, obviously massive economic destruction across, the United States. So the other path could be maybe a larger double correction. So it's got options, but we really don't know until we get, the pullback. And we know where the rest of the market's going, right? Where rates are really going, what's the Fed chief doing, that type of thing. So, but if the Fed chief wants to lower rates, right? What if the Fed, what if it's this, right? What if, like we just talked about, what if the bond market, long run rates go higher and this pulls back, and then the Fed chief does QE and the long end falls and mortgage rates plummet? Guess what? This goes higher. Easy. What if the Fed chief says, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to just raise rates to do the right thing. Well, guess what? This probably goes lower. What if he does nothing and there's a sovereign debt crisis and the whole economic, apparatus comes off, off its, gears come out and everything? Well, then it goes down here in a flat, right? And what if there's a massive taco and Trump leaves Iran and everything, and then it's this big melt up? Well, then we get what I had here, right? And then we top, right? And then the Fed comes in to save the day, and then there's inflation, president leaves, and then all of a sudden, sovereign debt crisis, and we get that. So I don't know. So you can see how each path could, ebb and flow with the policy. But as of now, it seems like it's a top of some kind. This interesting ratio I was asked to look at. Let me see if I can look at this again. So this is the oil to silver ratio. So right away, I see 5 waves up. And I see 3 waves down. And believe it or not, if we projected a box here, it was a negative number, right? Remember, oil went negative, 284. And it actually predicted where it bottomed. Isn't that something? Aladdin's real predictable, right? Aladdin's computer program's really easy to reverse engineer, man. They got to do a better job than that. So look, it predicted exactly where it bottomed, and maybe that could have been used to time the commodity low. So we're going to use this for future reference. Now, so this is a good find. This is a good find from Sumit. Thank you for showing me this. Now, we have this 3 waves down. Beautiful. And then we come up in one. And what's interesting here, it was we made another 3 waves down into another box. And then if you come and look closer, we made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up, right? Or again, maybe I'm off by a swing, but you still have a higher high. And we're in a flat and we go higher. But either way, we go higher. And the direction this thing's moving is 5 waves higher, right? 5 waves. So we should see a C wave, a 5-wave move. It should move in 5. So as long as this low holds, this would go higher. And this would be oil outperforming silver. And the last time, every time we saw that was like 99 to 2005, right? That was the oil super cycle. Remember that big oil super cycle? And then we had like 87, 88 to 90. And that was actually like somewhat of a recessionary period. But I do remember oil was a little bit. And then you had that big oil bear market here, I remember. And then here, of course, the commodity boom. And then it falls. And what's interesting is silver, obviously silver was doing really good. And now, are we ready for another oil super cycle, right? Like we had in last wave 3, 4, 5, right? 3, 4, 5. So anyway, yeah, I think it's really interesting chart. So thanks for sharing it. And I would say your question around it is ratio of chart of crude oil futures to silver. Is there a final leg of 3? Is there a final leg of a 3-wave move started January about to happen to May 6th, suggesting a large 300 plus versus silver move for crude oil soon? The answer is it looks like yes. It looks like crude oil is going to move, or is going to move in a larger degree than silver. Okay, that's what it's telling you. All right, and again, ratios are relative, so they can move down or up. It doesn't mean what direction the price is, but if you can look in the past, every time we were in these kind of moves here, oil was in a boom. It wasn't going down. So I would expect oil would be going higher, and silver would be maybe not in a bear market, but it won't be going up as much. It won't be in its like real super bull phase, right? Like we saw here. But again, 4 would be that bull phase, right? All right, next is JD Sports Fashion. JD Sports Fashion is got a 3-wave connector into a box. You have 5 waves up. It looks like it definitely corrected deep enough. See how it pulled? It almost took back the whole 5. Very common. It's a very common thing, that we see in the markets. Looking at the shorter cycle, we see a lot of divergence here. So it's highly likely some kind of impulsive move here. And then we only have 3 down. So, and then we have a little impulse here. So to me, it looks like a 1, 2, 1, 2. So to me, it looks like it's ready for the next cycle higher. All right. Now, the RSI is telling you clearly you're breaking out from the 23 cycle. So this leg is done. And the monthly cycle is probably the most important one to know what's going on with it. And it looks like, to me, it's breaking out to the upside. So, to me, you need to expect more upside. Now, can it come all the way back up here? It might. Can it become another connector wave and fail? It can. So you don't know, but it's probably going to take out this peak at least, and then be tested somewhere around here. And then at that point, yes, it could come back and break these lows. And then this essentially will be a go to 0, right? A go to 0, right? See how I made 1 and 2? 1, it could make 2. And then just, boom, go to 0. However, maybe it won't. So you got to, if you wanted to buy it, that was your time right here. This is a very interesting stock, this NLR. And it took me time to study it because it's got so many anomalies in terms of RSI, a recent divergence. and the wave structure doesn't look like 5 waves. But I'm going to show a couple possibilities. I don't think we have the right answer, but I'll give you what I think. So we call that 1, and we come down in 2 waves, and we can put 2 here. Now, the problem is, what do we call this? Now, it looks like to me we only have 3, and then 3, and then 3, right? The RSI shows, see, there's no, you see that, you can see that, like, it's very corrective in nature. So the first thing that concerns me is it a flat on the grand supercycle? So that would be an A, B, and then a flat would take us back down, somewhere down here. Okay, that would concern me. Now, if it's a flat, we would want to see 5 waves down from here. Also, a flat usually gets rejected at the 236 extension, and that's exactly where it got rejected. And it was also a breakout and a failed breakout, which is also usually a flat. A flat usually is a failed breakout. So it has all the makings of a flat, but there's one thing that makes me think it's not a flat. It's the shorter cycle here, because we bounced so strong here. We've actually erased most of this correction. I think I have to go, if I do it right, I think it was the weekly, if I remember. Yeah. So if I draw this here, we just broke through it. I mean, we're just breaking through it, and it looks like tonight we're even higher. So that is very much 3 waves down. And I think that's what you said in your comments. And divergence erased. So this isn't 5 waves down at all. I mean, look, this is, so you can't really call it a flat then. So, right, it would be very unusual structure to start a flat off looking like this. Never looks like this. So now what we're left with, and again, would be a 1, 2, and then we could have a leading diagonal here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And when we make 5, we'll have, look, more than likely, you're going to have massive bearish divergence here, right? Massive bearish divergence. So my guess is that's what's going to happen. Okay, it's going to make 5, and then correct, but perhaps this time the back test holds or something, right? And correct this. Now, the other count, right, that you could try to come up with is it's a bigger 3 waves, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but the other is, what if it's a leading diagonal but much larger? Like, use your imagination. What if it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's still 3 waves, 3 waves, 3 waves, just over the next, 15 or 20 years. So that's another possibility, but we don't see we went deep enough for that. So like I said, I think the way I would label this would be something like that. Okay, for now. Now, a 1, 2, 1, 2 won't work because of the subdivisions here. So if it does just moon, then we're going to the 1, 2, the larger view. And the other thing is, for flat, since this bounce is correct in the entire thing, right, we would have to, look at this as 3 waves down. We would have to look at it as an end in diagonal C wave. And that would really annihilate this thing. If it's a flat, we would break this low here. So this is why it's so important to hold this low. We have to hold this low, or it will turn into a flat. I mean, it doesn't mean it goes instantly down. It just means now you have an impulsive structure down, and that's exactly what a flat would do. But it would be very ugly, and it would indicate a lot more downside because everyone's trapped, right? It makes a lot of sense because too many people bought the dip. So if you're a bull in NLR, you better be praying to your gods or God or whoever, whoever you pray to. You gotta hold this level. Hold this. You have to hold this level. Now, on the shorter time frame, you only see a reaction move. That's why the miners are so dangerous to be aping into, because if that's it, You don't have an impulse off the low. Yes, you ended the cycle, but it could always be just a connector wave and go lower. So I would be looking for, what I'd like to see is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'd like to see a pullback. Now we can ape into the miners. We can buy the dip. We can get aggressive. We can get levered up if that's what you choose to do. Right? You can now you have more of the houses, the advantages on your side. Right now, what if it's corrective? You're in trouble potentially. So all we know is, yes, this is a very important low. That could be low, and we could be starting the next cycle higher. However, it's too early to celebrate just yet. All right, but hey, at least we're green tonight. All right, SPXS breaking down, but it is showing bullish divergence. So you have the 3. There's your 3. Look at all that bullish divergence. And then within this wave, you have another 3. So it seems like this wave needs more downside, which means the SPY will take that direct path to 8,000. However, we all know the market makers are real evil, right? Real evil. What if they decide to do this to you? Boom, boom, boom. It's the mirror image of the SPY update. So this level right here is so important. If we break this low, the all-time low, this is invalidated. And then you're probably taking the direct path down, right? And look, you're going to risk divergence as well. So that's where we are with the SPY, okay? So if you can hold this low, right, at 23.59, you could see that whipsaw back up, and that would be the indice crash, right? That's what I'm saying. The market could crash. It will be a flat, right? And that is this path. We don't make the 5 and we come all the way back down, likely all the way back down to this black line where it should have come back to all along. A fall, you know, I've been saying there'll be a summer of misery. It's still summer technically, and then maybe a fall of horrors, right? Nightmare, Halloween nightmare, right? So that is 4. And then that would be the SPX doing that other thing. So, but if we go higher and if we break the all-time highs, then that ain't happening. It's going to just keep grinding higher. All right. So, and what would make that happen? Well, I just told you, you need oil, dollar, and rates to make that happen. Oil, dollar, and rates to all be working for you, for you if you're, working with you on that. Right now, tonight, they're not. They're working against the market tonight. Or working for SPSX. Now, EC, this Eco Petrol, looking at a major low here, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, some kind of flat. And then we came up, it looks like maybe one more high, and then we would correct the entire wave and probably come back down to $12, and then of course continue higher. So that's what I think, and you can see that. Look at all that bearish divergence. So this is very much like a 5. Now, if I'm off by a swing, and I can be sometimes, it's very tricky sometimes labeling these, then it's done now. So this is not an area to be like, oh my God, I'm going to get rich. Let's go along. Like that was down here. Here it's no, you can't take a position now. You're going to have to wait. Now, the good thing is I do see it eventually coming out of this. So long-term investor, you should be all right. So this pullback will probably be your last chance to buy it though, when it happens. When that daily cycle comes down. You can see the compression though, right? You see the compression. Now, I will say this. If we do pop and we start to erase divergence, then we could have a 1, 2, 1, 2. And of course you get no pullback. So that's a caveat. But right now it does not look like that. AMC here. was interesting. It's been pretty bullish. All right, let's see AMC. And we expected more upside. We got it. Now you have a higher high. You have 5 waves up and you pulled back. Now you had a correction. A couple things you notice about this correction here. You never came back to the 4, which you usually do, and you truncate it. So it's highly likely it's going to double correct. Okay, I can't guarantee it will, but it's just likely, highly likely, I would say. So that would do something like this. W, X, Y, right? Of course, this box, I can get rid of it because it's not valid. But I think that's probably what we're going to get. But as you can see, you're bouncing and you're correcting. So this low's in. So I think, again, you're going to do a double correction. But you might as well just call the low in for now. So as long as you're above 246, it will grind higher. Again, double correction likely, but it may not, it's not guaranteed. And again, you have, looks like a cup and handle too. So I would not want to sell this. If I was in this, you could just buy it here, put your stop at 245 and let the market decide for you, right? Let the market decide for you. All right. And if you break this low, then you can forecast a box. And ironically, that would probably put you right back at 212. Now, this 3-wave move up, I didn't check it, but yeah, it's not corrective because look at the divergence there. Yeah, so this got more upside, more pretty likely. Okay, so yeah, you could be looking to reload or build up. It would have been nice to come down here, but this could do as well. But it looks like either the 2's in, or maybe you get a double. But I would be thinking about trying to build a position in here. With now you got the higher high. And we need to bring that back. All right, TE is T1 energy. Let's take a look at what we have here. All right, T1 energy came up in 5 like we have. We have a 1. What a nasty flat. Let's take a look. Wow, what a buy that box was. All right, here we have 3, 1, 2. So if it's a flat, it's not done yet because I don't see 5 waves down. Yeah, I do see 3 waves down. I do see. Yeah, interesting. Let's look at this. Let's think about this differently. Yeah, I mean, let's go to a shorter time frame. Yeah, I don't see the move. We see 5 up. So 1 is here. Okay. So again, I'm just looking at it. Get rid of this. Yeah, I mean, well, I think we have to just label what we see here then. So my guess is it's not done going down. It can't be because there's no. I was looking for alternative labels. I mean, I don't see it. See, this bounce is so strong. It's correcting the whole wave in 3. So it's gonna, what I suspect will happen, you have a 1, you have some kind of 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll probably do something like that. Okay. That's what I think will happen. See, there's your 4, right? Usually you come back down. So I believe it's in a flat, but again, too many too many suckers out there buying the dip too soon, and you're gonna, I think it's just gonna bleed down more, just like I have there, and another ending diagonal C wave, and you'll see something like this. This is what I think. Okay, and good luck on that. What is this? What kind of energy is this? Solar. Oh yeah, it's solar. Okay, yeah, solar is screwed, guys. Yeah, solar is in trouble. So yeah, this makes sense to me. Okay, I was thinking it was oil or something. Solar, yeah, this exactly what I'm thinking. Okay, that would work for us. All right, BitX is in a box, but their stop loss is essentially 0 on it. So yeah, Bitcoin, this is in a box. All right, I'm not going to make a mistake about it. Look, if you have, I would say money that you just want to play around with, speculate, just throw something in there in the casino here and hold it, and just come back in a couple years and see if you won the lottery or not. Because guys, I look at this, I see 3 waves up, and the thing is, we've done really well trading this thing, surprisingly. Right here, we got all these boxes, all these successes, and we up 3, and then you have down in 3, and you have a box off of a clear connector. The problem is the box is so big, the stop loss is 0. You look, you've even erased divergence here and here. You see that, right? I mean, it's to me, yeah. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm like, can Bitcoin really go down any further? I mean, that's how much leverage is out of the system right now. But it is what it is. Are we correct? I haven't looked at this yet. Well, I'll look at this. I had not. So I'm doing this live here. So we are still in the downtrend on the weekly. Look, way in the downtrend. Now, could we be correct in this leg to give us a little bit of a bounce? Yes. So this is, you see that we're breaking out just barely because it's gone sideways. So this little bounce here is correct in this whole wave. So if this wave is, again, if it's W, X, Y, A, B, C, we should come back up to maybe $21. Even if it were to go lower, that would be a normal, healthy, unmanipulated market, right? We should do that. Then, of course, it can go back down into the that's what should happen. Look, the only bounce we got was this. That's some for this whole move. You mean the people who shorted it have not caught, like, that's why I think it needs a short squeeze. But I don't want to talk you into buying it. I'm just sharing my thoughts. You'll have to decide whatever you want to decide based on what I said. But basically, unfortunately, buying this, your stop loss is 0. So at this point, but we do have a weekly cycle that has come to an end on this leg, but not the whole correction. So it can easily keep going lower. The monthly cycle has also come to an end. That could lead to a larger bounce. So again, I get it. Bitcoin sucks, all this, quantum, all this, but all the other sellers believe that too. And a lot of people are out of the market. A lot of people have capitulated, right? Sentiment is as bad as I've ever seen it. So unless there's a global stock market meltdown, like a global liquidity suck, dollar index spike, run for cash, I just don't see how this can go down right now unless it gets hacked by like somebody actually hacks it. Right? Maybe that's another way. Maybe some nerd in their basement with AI can quantum computer can hack it, steal Satoshi's coins. Sure, now then it will go down. I'm sure, yeah, it'll go down after that. So maybe that's what it will take. I don't know. But organic, like natural sellers, I mean, where are they? They're gone. Most of them have sold. Okay, next question I've got here, EC. All right, EC. Oh, we already talked about that. I've got another set here. Let's see, DT, TEX, Pfizer. That's always a good one. RTX. Yep, we got that one. Oh, Vietnam. Yeah. So we know a few of those I know about. Other ones are new. I don't know about this DT. All right, DT. So anytime I see something like this, that's typically a connector wave with another low. But I don't want to jump into things. Let's take a look. So right away, you see how divergence is erased. Pretty much. Let's go to the monthly cycle. Now here, I'm okay. That's interesting. That's interesting. All right, that's interesting. Let's look at the weekly. Also, you see how it really capitulated, but never took out that low. Really interesting divergence. Very interesting divergence. So either TradingView is incomplete data or it's some kind of triangle and that's the bottom of it. And again, does it look like a triangle? A, B, I mean, no, it doesn't. So there's typically a couple of things. When you see this kind of divergence where this takes out this, but the price hasn't, normally the price eventually follows. Normally, unless it's a triangle and end it here. But when you look at this, you just can't, there's no way you can get this into a triangle. There's just no way. So I'd be worried that you don't go lower. All right, I would be worried. I would be worried about that. All right, looking at it, 3 waves down. Right, some kind of 3-wave move down. And then here looks like another 3. So another ABC right here. And then another ABC right there. So what I'd be concerned about is this. Okay. And that would get you to $12. Basically, your stop loss is 0 at that point. So it's basically $12. So I would be expecting something like this. Now, if you could take out C, that would invalidate this, and then we would have to go with a more bullish view on this instrument, and we would go higher. And then we would have to just force it 1, 2, maybe 1, 2, right? And then we would just, or 1, 2, we would have to force the count and just assume higher. I don't think it's going to do that based on what I just said. You can watch this downtrend line here. You also are in the correction still. Hold on. Well, barely, right? You're barely in the correction. So it's trying to come out. So let's look at, but that was the monthly. So that maybe you have another way of looking at it because this candle, so maybe not B or C, this candle, if you could take out 53.46, then that would invalidate it too. So if it falls, it's likely done. If it can push higher tomorrow, then we have to go bullish on it. It's just got a weird structure, but typically when you see this taken out, usually the price follows eventually. And then TEX, real messy chart. So we put 3 here, Y. So nothing's changed here. Nothing's changed here. So shorter cycle here looks like 1, 2, 3. And let's take a look at what this is. Yeah. Another X, 1, 2, 3. So we should see this push higher in the coming days, week, or in the next week, and then it could be a major top, right? It would be a test of this all-time high, and then you probably are going to pull back, right? And that's going to make this cuff and handle, right? It's going to make this cup and handle. So that's what we're thinking. Pfizer looks like we gave a couple ideas, right? We said that, if I remember this, the C wave could be done here, right? It could have been a run-in flat done, or we could just extend further. It obviously looks like it's extending further, right? Which is the more conventional way. So it seems like we're going to go higher here. Obviously, the 2 truncated a little bit from that target area. So that's pretty bullish. So I would expect continuation higher. All right. And you're erasing divergence. So this is about to break out to a 3 of 3. In fact, even here could be a 1-2, 1-2. I could label this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we'll just do that to keep it simple. So yeah, this looks pretty good. When's the earnings? Did it have earnings already? Yeah, so it's past earnings. So it looks okay to me. Now, it will have a big test right here, though, but it's got 2 3 of 3s to break through this area of resistance. And it has all the, I would expect it to, so I would just think it's going to keep going higher. And this should generate more gains, right? And then, but the problem is the chart is broken, so at some point, there's going to be some kind of washout still later. But we've seen these C waves. They can go pretty far. They could even go back to all-time highs. We can make them flats. So I think right now, just expect more upside. RTX was in a 5th wave of essentially its grand super cycle. We do have defense in the 5th wave of the grand super cycle. Some of these sectors, if you look here, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can, I haven't checked divergence lately, so let's check it. So we still have a little divergence here. Well, that's the 4. Let's go to the daily. Daily is trying to erase divergence. It has not. How about weekly? Okay, weekly, that would definitely be the most important for me. So it still looks like a 5 and a 5. So it's trying to accelerate, but look at the chart. It's literally at one of the worst moments possible. Like it could be at the very end, the tippy top. Now the problem is why that makes no sense, right? Because aren't we running out of missiles and aren't we about to build our stockpile? And that does make sense. But what if we're leaving the Middle East, tucking tail and going home? Well, maybe we don't need all that stuff right away. And then you're going to have government gridlock. How are you going to get funding? Maybe that's part of the problem that this sector isn't anticipating. However, I will say if that doesn't happen and we do erase divergence, right, which we very well could, then this would obviously be a 1, 2, and we'll go 3 of 3. Okay, so we're right. Like I said, it's right there. It has been strong. It's strong momentum, but we need a little bit more strength. And on the shorter cycle, you're losing momentum. So it's kind of a roll of the dice. If I had bought this box here, if you bought this box here, I wouldn't sell it. All right, and not yet. Now Vietnam, larger time frame. Again, I'm not sure why my chart's messed up, but we'll fix that. Larger time frame. Looks something like 1, 2, 1, 2, and we are correct in this leg here. Looks like you have 5. It's just not a clear structure. to really get a good gauge and good read on it. It's obviously, to me, correcting the entire wave. You see how it's already, it looks like it's a sideways correction, so that's pretty bullish. So again, if we look at this, maybe you have an A, B, C here, and we make one more low. See, that's 5 up. So this would be a 4 and 5 here. Have to be that. So we got a 4 and 5 here. This is a flat. So connector is here. Hit the box, react it. You hit your 4 right here. It could be done. Yeah, I mean, looking at it a second time, so that could be the major low. Now, if this breaks, then you can have a new box, right? It's pretty shallow, but it's already done a series of 1s and 2s, so it may not go much deeper. But if it were to break this low at 1623, then I would expect 1417, and then that would be a must buy here in that box. All right, so we can't rule out a double correction, but it doesn't have to happen. So we'll just wait and see what the world markets do. All right, but obviously higher time frame, long-term investment should be good. That's why emerging markets look pretty good in the future, guys, for long-term investors. That means the dollar index long-term probably is not going to be doing that well, right? Because emerging markets usually do well when the dollar is weak. So if the emerging markets are in a super cycle 3 in the future, that tells me the dollar's probably tanking big time. All right. So, but for right now, this is what we got. So I think either you got to buy here or here. If you're a long-term holder, you can just start accumulating now. You've got to pull back. You can just wait because bigger picture, this thing's going to be, should be doing all right. Okay, now Cypher and Snap. All right, and Snap. We looked at Snap earlier, and I remember looking at that. Now Cypher. I don't have it labeled here, but it's a 1-2. This will be another 1-2 we're in right now. And we expected a flat. So we're thinking it's coming back to 1114. Again, right now, just kind of looking at it. But, you know, I want to get ahead of myself yet because we could have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let me look. Ah, you see how that peak took out that level? Yeah, that's what we're going to label. We're going to change that. We're going to change that. It won't change the target, I think. It will just change the wave count. Help us find the box, maybe. So we'll probably collect the whole grand super cycle. And yeah, we could probably get a box on this now. Very easy connector right there. And what do I know? 1286, just like I thought. Right at the wave 4. Right at the area of support. So it's just probably another back test of some kind in here. So that's the buy. That's the buy right there. Okay. And you got wave 4 cluster. So you should get a reaction. Now, the reaction doesn't mean it's just going to be instant. Everyone's going to get rich, right? You should react. But remind you, sometimes those reactions fail. If it fails, then it's probably coming all the way back down here, right? And then you have a left shoulder, a head, a right shoulder down. So this is, but it's tradable area. It's tradable for a bounce and probably a nice bounce. And if you're lucky enough, you get another wave. Snap. We were looking for this big, you see this big relief rally? That's what we're looking for, right? And we're trying to like, where are we on the wave count, right? Where are we on the wave count? Now, since it's a 5, it could do a couple things. Now, it only shows 3 waves down, 3 waves up. So right away, we need to look at this. Just want to look at this a little more closely. Yeah, I may have highlighted it. This is why I'm using the wrong. Yeah, so let me fix it up. We're probably just off by a degree. I'll look at this later. But more than likely, we're in this 3 and we're in a 4 here. It's probably this. And this is probably turning into a triangle 4. However, it has to be in 3 and 3. I don't like that. Yeah, that's in 5. So again, just kind of looking at it one more time. Maybe in here. Yeah, no, I think we'll go back to what we had. It's just the only thing that makes sense. All right, so go back to what we had. So if we go back to what we had, then again, just kind of looking at it. Yeah, maybe with C, we need to not think of it as, again, I'm just looking at it. Maybe it's in 3 waves down, all the way down. A's in 5, B's in C. So no, that's not going to work either. Again, I'm thinking out loud, because let's look at the bigger picture and see if something's changing. See, it's trying to break out now. It's trying to break out now. So the only thing that means to me is we have to be in a bigger connector here. It's the only thing that makes sense to me is going to happen. But let me just look one more time. I say I want to study this a little bit more. Yeah, see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're just gonna fix this. I think right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's probably where the issue is. And now you have a connector wave. A, B, C, D, E. Now it's starting to see the pictures coming together and erase divergence. Now it's ready to bounce. See, it just kind of a wonky structure. And in fact, maybe it would actually be better here. And then we do something like this. A, B, C, D, E, like that. There we go. Now I got it. Okay. So now we expect it to go higher. Okay. We have 5 waves up. 1, 2, and then 1, 2. So yeah, this should go higher from here. And the test is going to be back at $8. Okay. So we expected the rally, right? Luckily, it hasn't got away yet. So if you want, you could buy it. I would just leave your stop at 425 and let the market squeeze here. Now, again, this back test is going to be a huge challenge. If you're successful, you could see a move probably back up till $12 or even as high as 16. If it fails, though, the fail will be really nasty because it'll be a huge rejection. Go to 0. All right, so we figured that out. It was just kind of a weird, tricky, yeah, real kind of odd structure, but we figured it out. Okay, now let's see. Yeah, end phase is screwed. End phase is screwed because it's solar. Solar is probably anticipating the higher interest rates that are coming, and solar hates high interest rates, the sector. All right, so end phase has only got 3 waves up. It is bouncing in a connector wave. My guess is it's likely to fail, and so again, looks like some kind of a 3-wave move down. Let's take a look here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's your 5. So right there's your A, right there. And then just erasing divergence completely. So it's really just an impulsive move down. Something like that. But this bounce is so strong. So now, let's see here. We can go A, B, yeah, I'm just kind of playing around where, because it's so bearish, right? It's just like there, and then W, X, Y, right? So there's your 3 waves. So it's a new connector. You have a higher high, so it's going to bounce a little bit more in the shorter time frame. A little bit higher, and then likely will fail one more time. Like look, it only bounced corrective. You only came back in 3 waves. I'll just get rid of this so we can see it better. You've only come back in 3 waves. So what I'm thinking is it's just going to double correct down again. And then it's going to break down. Right? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and it's just going to break down. All right, boom. Is just in this accumulation phase, and looks like, again, the problem is you're only seeing corrective bounces. And that could be, you know, a lot of things. So only seeing 3 waves up, 3 waves down. It's in the middle area, and we keep seeing these corrective bounces: 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, 3 down. So again, what we could be seeing some kind of triangle, which could be 4, which means it's 5. Another push lower. The other path is it just starts coming out. So there's really nothing more to analyze on it. Basically, as long as it's in this pink box, it can go higher. However, I would say it can break this low and still be okay, because then it's just in a 4-wave, which it very well could be within the 4-wave of this 5. But to me, I think it's ending the cycle. Okay, but it's just obviously testing investors' patience. And people hit that because they're like, well, my calls, what time? Like, we don't know. So you can watch this trend line here, this weekly. Once we break out, that would end the cycle. So it's very close. It's very close. All right, the next question, XLM and Luna C. XLM needed more downside last we looked at it. So there you go. So that's it. One more push down. Now I can erase divergence and go lower, but it might not. Now, at some point, you're trying to look for the perfect entry. It does. Again, we can't put that 2 here. We only see 3 waves up here, so we do have to respect the fact that it could still do a larger double. Ultimately, it has to stay above this low, the 2022 low. So it can go into this this purple box, and that's your area of accumulation if it does. But as of now, if we look at this chart, it needs just one more push, or if we're off by a swing, we'll see the downtrend break. See that line? Once we break higher, then it's over. So you can watch that too. But I mean, this is the count we are now. A lot of people think, oh, crypto's about to just do that. So I wish I knew the future, right? We have Ripple right on the edge. We have Solana. We have all these altcoins literally at the edge, and they all look technically like they can push higher. But everybody online that you follow that spends hours on charts all say that it's going to do this. So I'm really going against the grain, telling you it's almost bottomed or done. I'm probably the only one out there saying that. But here there's better altcoins to buy than this one though, if you want to buy an altcoin, because this one's not clear. Dogecoin's not clear. Solana you could buy, Bitcoin Cash, XRP, Ethereum. This one is not clear. It's fuzzy. Now, if this breaks higher, well, then you can buy it. All right, and put your stop at wherever the pivot is, wherever that is. Now, Luna C, I haven't looked at that, so we can look at that. I mean, that's always an unusual one here. I'm not sure. I thought we had that one done. Maybe I'm using the wrong chart here. There it is. All right. All right, so Luna C, we have 1, 2, 3. Like I've always said before, there's no guarantee for the 4s and 5s. You didn't get it. So unfortunately, that means you have a corrective bounce, which usually indicates more downside. So that's the problem, with some of these corrective structures, is it's always unknown what you're going to get. And in fact, this would be better labeled WXY. And looking at this, that's an ABC. Well, maybe not. So this is a little different because this looks like 5 down. That does not look like 5 down. No, it's still showing like it's 3, so we'll still stick with the 3-way move. So it looks again, so it looks like you have another WXY. So then, and then here looks like another 3 waves up. So now we can kind of try to see where the cycle's going. So the question is are they going to take this and whip it back up and then down, or what? Right? What are they going to do? Right now, you're in a downtrend, heavy down. You know, let's go to the daily. Yeah, I mean it's trying to break higher. So this is tough here because I want to say it's going to do this, right? Higher, or even this. Higher. And then this would be like that. And guess what? That would be a buy right here, right? It's in a buy right now, right there in that box. So if you believe in upside in this, you buy it right now and put your stop right at 4922. You buy it here, put it at 4922. If it holds 4922, it will break out and you'll be very happy. If it can't, well, then it's breaking down and it's lights out. So, but you have a pivot now. You can trade this against. So again, if we look at the entire move, it looked like it was trying to break out. It hasn't done it on the weekly yet. The daily is peeking its head through. And if you believe in that larger breakout, then you would be buying now and taking the risk here against that low. And if you do that, you can get this upside. And perhaps God knows how high it will go. If you fail, well, then obviously it's taken a whole nother cycle lower. And I mean, how low can it go at that point? I mean, this connect, what is this, a connector? At least for this leg. I mean, this would take it down another 2,000-3,000. So this would take it down to like 1,000 Luna. So you really can't break this. It's like some of these altcoins will look like they're at these huge areas of technical. Like it has to hold this level. All right. I got a question here. I know you think the boring stocks are going to make a comeback, but I'm a little worried about my count on this. It starts on SCHD. So it looks like we must have some kind of 5 here. Again, I don't know why TradingView messes my chart up. I have to realign everything here. So it's a pretty bullish count here. And looking at that, we probably put the first 3 here. So we would be correcting the 2022 leg in this. So again, it could be a 3 and 4. So I want to show you a couple of charts. So it could be that. Now I could also do this and call the whole thing done. Okay, the SPYD looks like that, by the way. Now, I need to check the divergence, and is 3 the shortest and all that good stuff. So I think in this 3 doesn't look like... Yeah, three's not the, so that's okay. So yeah, so 5, so 3 is not the shortest. So then we need to look at the weekly. So you see the peak is here. This 3 has no peak. And then look here, look at that surge, but still below this level. So I think we need to go back to our other view. Again, I'm not sure what's in it compared to SPYD. I think SPYD has higher dividend, like more kind of dog shit type stuff that just pays a dividend. This probably has better growth dividend in it. So it may not be the same. So obviously these guys must do pick their holdings pretty well. So I think we'll go with this count because this looks like, see, the peak is 3, the 3, and took this out, but we haven't taken that out. So that means we probably haven't had that 3 yet. So it's probably this count. And now we'll update this so I can actually see the cycles. Now, the thing is, the one thing about 4 is we know 4s can become another 1, 2. So you see the bearish divergence. So we know we're going to correct this leg. I'm sorry, this whole cycle. And get rid of that. So we're going to correct this whole cycle right here. It may not be 4. We could get another deep pullback here. Right? This is the site. This is like, oh, the indices are going to go down, crash, whatever. It could come all the way back down like that, right? And then you could have a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You see that? So we don't know, but what we know is, yeah, I mean, this whole thing is coming, it's looking tired, right? So I think that's the count for now. So I think again, and then this would be conservative. Now the other thing is we could make that quick 4 and 5. And then we could also do the same thing on this 5. Then we correct the 2020 cycle. And then this could come all the way back down here. And we could do a 1, 2, 1, 2. See? So it's tough to like, oh, are we going to go deeper, right? Or not. So this is the most, I guess, conventional way of labeling it. But we could go deeper. And that would line up better with where the indices are. So I think, so again, this it could just top just like I have it here. But if it doesn't, then it's going to have a more conventional, I'm sorry, it's going to have a deeper, and it's going to have a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And my suspect, when we get this 5 and this 3, it's probably going to be able to take out the peak that we saw back here. Now, this peak back here, now there are some bearish forecasters that would tell you that's the wave 3, right? 3 and 4, and this whole thing is an extended 5th wave, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but again, that would be the shortest, so that wouldn't work. So maybe 1, 2, you know, and maybe you make a 3, 4, 5, but you finish this whole thing, and then this is the 4, and then this, you know, then you force a 1, 2 here, or, you know, or what, but you can't, see, it doesn't make sense to label it that way, especially with this little pop. That just, see, so my guess is it seems like the market's anticipating rate cuts. It's anticipating rate cuts, and it's anticipating a QE coming that will be great for dividend stocks. But there could be, again, a detour, right? Rates go higher, then the Fed, you know, institutes quantitative easing to buy the long end, and then you get this, and then you get this. And then either you get, then, so that's what I'm thinking. All right. Shorter cycle. It It looks like, to me, that would be 4, so maybe one more high in 5 here. Right? A, B, C, D, E, so one more high in 5. Okay. And then Ava, AE, RGLD. Then they have DJT. XTNT. I just want to get these out here. And then I'm going to get off here. APYX. I think that's it. Okay. So let's get through these, and I got to run. All right. So now, oh, this is that one that's a mess. Yeah. So it's like at the critical moment here, right? For the corrective wave. Yeah, and so the invalidation is to take out 3290, this 3181. If not, it's at the point where it turns down. You're clearly still in the correction. Look, you're still in the bear market, monthly and weekly. So the bullish move has a little hidden bear, not too much. It's a pretty strong move, I have to say. It's a pretty intense move, but to me, I would still make the market prove to me it's over. So there's really no changes yet. I mean, we do expect, look at this count, we do expect in the future much more upside, okay? Much more upside. And it's just this does not look impulsive. It looks like a connector wave. All right. Now, Royal Gold. Now, we had, when we did gold charts earlier, we had them in a series of 4s and 5s like we do here, but then gold pulled back deeper, right? And now it's doing another 2, right? It's doing a series of 1s and 2s. That's good for the future. So that's good for the future, but bad for the short term. So that's what's happening here, right? So we probably have a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 of some kind. But we'll verify all that. Yeah, you see it's just building. So it's probably getting close. It's getting close to that point. I don't know. Maybe we could still call this a 4. I like to trade, again, I like to look at each chart on its own. We did get to almost to the 50. So I think we'll line it up with the rest of the gold complex and call it another 2. Because the other instruments are much clearer. They're much deeper. This one's pretty shallow. So this one shows it's very bullish then on the higher time frame because it didn't pull back as deep as some of the others. So in this 2, you got this connector. But you see all that bullish divergence? So you just have an impulse here. You just have an impulse here, right? To me, you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And you can't typically correct in 5, right? So you have an A. Now this B, usually you come back to the 4. So we could come back to 20, you get back to 277 and maybe do something like that. So that's what I'm thinking for gold. Now, this would be more bearish, and this would really muddy the waters because that would push this down much deeper, and then that would break the structure and break it in a way that we would have to look at this in a very different light, because then we would be breaking this whole thing in a almost a 3-wave move. And that would require me to really study it, because if that's 3 waves and we're correcting this, then we would have to put this 3 here and make and make it 4, and it's some kind of large leading diagonal, like moving in threes, or even a WXY. We would just go WXY. So it would actually be really bad for this chart, because then you basically correct it like corrective up, which can imply when it does pull back, like a significant pullback that takes years and years. So if it can pump higher, that's really good. So I see 5 waves down, right? And then it's just like, how do you interpret this bottom area? Yeah, and this bottom area may be like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. See how that pushed pretty deep there? Just kind of looking at it. Yeah, I would still go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how I label it. So I think it's got, and this lines up with our gold and metals forecast. Some kind of connector, another leg down. But I don't think it's going to be much deeper than where we are here. Perhaps it can go a little lower, but so this implies that this would still bounce a little more. DJT, I think we expected this whipsaw around. We got it, and now it could come to an end. All right, let's take a look. So here's a cycle here. So in fact, we have a 1, 2. Yeah, maybe it's got more upside in it. May have more upside. Higher time frame. Needs to also validate that. Yeah, I think this is going to push higher. Almost looks kind of like AMC's chart. 1, 2. One, two, three, four, 1, 2. I don't like how we bottomed here. Unless there's a flat in here that, like a micro flat, like we don't even see the. See that? That's an impulsive move down. So we put that here as an ABC flat, but then you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we can go with that. And then here we have another flat. Something like that. That's what I'm thinking. I think it's got more upside. So now, if it has that much more upside, then what that tells me is we are still in a connector wave, a larger one. Or this is 5 waves down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to look at this again. You see how we erased divergence here? I must have missed that the first time. So that's not an impulse. So now it does make sense. So yeah, this is going to do a bigger whipsaw around, and that's what's probably happening here. Watch it come back up to 18. Yeah, and we're correcting this whole leg now. I mean, we're gonna be correcting this whole thing. So if that's the case, then it's done here. But we know it didn't bottom right. So we'll get, again, it's kind of, we'll get so much nested structure here. So then, again, I'll just kind of soften that there. So I think the major cycle ended here. We're bouncing to correct the entire thing now. And this X has a potential to come back to 1957 or even higher. So I would just trade it higher. So we're seeing a lot of these small caps. Look, we've looked at many small caps. AMC, this one. There's ones that I've been in with our elite members that we are trading. They're all looking like very much like they want to pump. Okay, they want to pump. They look very much like they want to pump. So I think we're in this connector wave for the larger cycle. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see small caps squeeze soon in some ways. So I think something like this. Let me go back to the week. You see this weekly? Correction's over. Okay, but the way we bottomed means it doesn't mean like it means at some point it will break these lows. So again, I don't know how high it's going to go, but it seems like it wants to go higher. Okay, so I would expect more upside. XTNT broke these lows, so you lost the bullish count on it. So that would indicate to me that this was a run-in, like a run-in flat connector. So we probably have yeah, we'll probably just shift that a little bit, make it a little bit different. See, we almost did it. I mean, that's close enough to me. More than likely, it's trying to bottom here. It's got, let's go look at the weekly cycle. Same thing, it's turning up. So it's probably bottomed. All right. So I would expect this to come out now at some point. Now we may not be able to, because it's so illiquid, you're not going to be able to like label this correctly. But if I was, again, just looking at it, you probably could have something like one. Now see, this looks like some kind of connector. So yeah, it's very dangerous. You don't, I guess you don't want to break 38 cents, but it seems like it's more of a three-wave connector. Some kind of W, A, B, C, D, E, maybe something like that. And then you can build on it from there, you know. But I think as long as you're above this low, you can probably speculate and buy it. EOSE, we're expecting this squeeze here, this bounce. It looks like it's about to happen as well. Now let's look at this 5. Where did it end? Yeah, probably right at the low. We just put that right there. Same thing here. Got 3 up. So it's probably going to move corrective. My guess is it's probably not done. Again, you're in an X, so maybe it's A, B, C, D, E. Something like that. I wouldn't fall in love with it because I do believe it's got another wave down. And then APYX. We have a higher high. It looks like it wants to do a flat. The problem is we don't know if it's going to be running flat. If it's a running flat, it's already finished because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you should expect it to continue lower, but we just don't know yet. So we just don't have, right? It could do this and then just finish lower, but again, because of the higher high, the bulls are in control. This is just they're shaking out the weekends. So but it doesn't have to go down anymore though. It can finish and just keep going. So if we come back and break below 350, I would expect that push down to like 244, maybe as low as even as low as 210. If it can hold, then it's just go time. It's just going to break out. And again, my only recommendation here is to play the long game. You could start a position, just slowly add through this area, and then if you're patient enough, it will turn and go higher. You have the higher high on your side. So this to me indicates that it will be okay in the future for now. You'll get another swing, more than likely. All right, so that's kind of what I'm thinking here. So again, this one is very bullish. This setup, this one, I believe we still are going to bounce more. But you see how you made these little bounces? I think you'll get that. Maybe you get a couple of them even. But I believe this chart will make another dive lower. XTNT looks like it's bottomed here. So we can build from that low now. And hopefully you can get one of these big pumps out of it. I may have missed Google and Snowflake. I didn't see that. Oh, I did. Yeah, let me go back and do that. Sorry about that. Snowflake. Let's take a look at what we got going on. So Snowflake has a lower low here. Yeah, I guess I had a buy down here a long time ago. But you see this lower low. Now, I'll check. I haven't looked at this chart in a while. See, we have divergence. Let's look at the monthly, and we have divergence. So it is it's just double correcting higher, right? And look, it got rejected here, but it made another move higher. So it's just in a big ass connector wave. It's really fun to trade these connector waves. I know a lot of traders love them. Now this pushed down, but see, it took out all of it. Normally, again, when that happens and you don't buy, the price eventually follows suit. This time it didn't. Now here, that looks better, more reasonable. So we'll go with the monthly, and it looks like since we held this low, we're going to call this still part of. Well, let me look at the stochastic RSI. Okay, that's a full reset. So we'll call that a new connector. So we're looking at a double. So yeah, it's going to do something like this, it obviously has more upside, right? Because now see this big swing down? You don't have that. I mean, that's not what this, to me, that's not that. So if I was trading it, obviously you trade it higher. It appears to be, again, let me just look at this structure again. This is an old chart. I haven't updated. Once we did this, I just kind of ignored it. So this is probably not an ABC. Hold on. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, so like these are old charts, so I just want to validate them again. Yeah, this is right. And that's right. So that's right. Okay. There's 5. Okay. So yeah, we're about to pull back. We're about to make our next A. So this thing loves to have big fifth waves. So this fractal, this thing loves huge fifth waves. So see that's a fifth wave right now. Okay. So what that usually means is you come back to the 4. So B will take you back down to 216, but that will be a buy. And that'll get you another huge ass pump, more than likely. All right. So I think we're looking for something like this. And it should top soon, assuming we don't take this peak out. But it looks like we're in 3 of 5 though. So maybe a little bit more upside for now. 1, 2. In fact, we'll have to look at the shorter cycle. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe I take that back. Maybe, yeah, it could be finished at any moment. Finished at any moment. Okay. B and C. So this is what we're looking for. All right. So we should see some kind of pullback like we saw here. Likely coming back to the 4. Somewhere here. And then another big move. And we could even take out or challenge the all-time high. And we could even create like a flat-like structure later. It could turn into a run-in flat. But if we could take out the all-time high, then that does make it more bullish. After we get whatever this is, it turns into a run-in flat or something else later. Okay. And we should just anticipate that's probably what's going to happen. A, B, and some kind of C or something, right? Or C, run-in flat. So again, that's probably what I'll be looking at if I was in this. So yeah, Google. Here, Google, I don't think this is the chart that I use. Let me go to our pro group chart. I don't know if we have something different. Yeah, we have a different chart. So Google here, and looks like you've got the grand super cycle finished. You have 5 waves. You have massive bearish divergence. It seems to have it seems to be ready for a grand super cycle peak. So unlike other hyperscalers here, this one does not look like it's going to be as successful. Like, not all these hyperscalers are going to win. This one doesn't look like it may not win. Even though you're like, oh, I love Gemini. Well, maybe no one else will use it. Maybe something better will come along. Or I don't know. There's other things our pro group covers that are more bullish on the longer term. This isn't one of them. Now, once we break this trend line, then it's coming all the way down, and you'll probably see some kind of uncontrollable selling in it. All right, so shorter cycle. We're expecting to turn down. We got rejected here as expected. Big ass flat. And again, it's just going to take time to slowly bleed to death. Now the area where it could find a low. I mean, I don't want to sound too doom and gloom. Since it is 5 here, our 4 in the grand super cycles at 260. There is possibility we could find a low at 220, 240, somewhere in this area. We do have this gap. So maybe it's not all doom and gloom, but I am looking for more downside. Okay. We do have a lower low. Okay. And it did get a pretty nasty rejection here. and it does look very impulsive. Now, should we also expect a bounce coming maybe this week? So, to invalidate the bearish view, we need to take out the all-time high, right? And this is what we've been covering for a while on our pro group, kind of watching this. What it's been taking time, but it seems like based on our count, there's no reason to think it's going to go much higher until we get a sequence that shows that. All right, we just don't label things higher out of hope or because it's a good company. Yeah, but remember, these guys are going free cash flow negative, and some of them are going to lose. Not all of them are going to win. They're betting the farm on this. There isn't going to be like 9 winners. Like some aren't going to make it, or they're going to be damaged, or they're going to have to spin off things, right? We don't know. All we know is the chart here, I don't like it. There's other ones here I like that are hyperscalers that are much better. So, and we were talking about that on our weekend update, right? We were talking about the one I like. This isn't one of them. Now, if it can take out the all-time high, well then, yeah, it's different. That's different. All right. So, thanks, guys. Let me go through your final comments and see if I missed anything. Why do people like sending me hate mail? I don't know. I think sometimes people, feel like they can get pumped up because they're anonymous on the internet, right? They do things they wouldn't normally do in public. And so they feel they get this courage. And I've noticed a lot of people early, I don't get as much as I used to, but I get a lot of hate that's like a lot of people didn't want this to succeed for some reason. I'm not sure if it was competitors or just other people that I think there was some group of people that were like offended, like almost like I should be stoned, like because they treated Elliott Waves like a religion, like a religious text, like, and it was like blasphemy because I wasn't like the charts, obviously I go through so many charts, they're not like as pretty and they're not lined up, they're not perfect, but we get we're looking at a lot of levels and things in RSI, and so to them it was like I should have been stoned. So they took it out, they lashed out, and I think they've run out of a lot of energy. But recently I've seen some haters really just get really frustrated with anytime there's success in our channel. It's just really funny. And like I said, I don't know if it's competitors or what. I don't know what it is, but I've learned to ignore it and just block these people. And that's why I keep saying there's no like constitutional right of freedom of speech if you're like a member or you're just visiting and you decide to post stupid shit. I just block you. And the thing about YouTube is once you're blocked, you don't even realize you're blocked. You just essentially are talking to yourself. You think your posts are out there, but you're actually been literally shadow banned and no one else can see what you're writing. So it's kind of like evil of YouTube. That's what they do to you. They don't just tell you you're blocked, right? You won't know. And that's good too. But I mean, I just block people out. I just don't have time and the mental energy. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't want to read any of the comments and interact with anyone. So I have to do it. So that's why I manage the channel. I don't know, but it's it's trolls. I think they're just bored. Yeah, and I do think there's some big influencers that do watch my channel, which is fine. I'm actually happy, but it's just unfortunate that I think they take my ideas and they say they're their own and they charge money, and they're like they're like, no, my consciousness thought of it, and you're like, no, you really just heard what I said and then put it out there. And I have a couple examples of that, but I just, again, it's whatever. It's part of the channel, right? You can't stop that, but there are people like that, I think, out there. And there are people like, I do know, like I'll instantly post an idea of something, and if it's illiquid, it moves in the opposite direction. And so I'm like, is that Aladdin? Is that an algo that searches for channels that have low subscribers to try to blow them out? Like, I don't know, but it's really spooky. Like if I post something about something, like it, like instantly, like we'll get like crushed. So I have to use that against them sometimes. I may have to do the opposite, but then that would be problematic. So I can't. So I guess The point is, there's going to be people like that out there. I've learned to deal with it now, being on doing this for 5 years. And yeah, I mean the war. We've talked about that, and rare earths. Rare earths is like part of the mining complex in emerging market trade. Yeah, BOJ has got a big problem. Capital's coming home. They've got their own challenges. They're using our treasury to bail them out so they don't have to raise rates. But that's eventually going to come to an end. They're going to have to raise rates soon. All right, I think I got through everyone's questions. Thanks again, guys, for subscribing. We can look at where the market is now, or calling in. Yeah, it's kind of like indifferent tonight, in undecided. Oil, again, it's all about these three things. So oil's still trying to grind higher. Then we have the dollar index. What's that up to? A couple green shoots here, and yeah, some green shoots. So you see some bearish green shoots here, right? Dollar higher, rates are a little higher, oil's higher. So that sets us up for maybe a sloppy day of trading tomorrow, Monday. Monday. So if that continues, right? So that would be a pullback. And that would be this pullback we're seeing, and then that may be the start of the flat, right? Not the run to 8,000. So I think tomorrow's an interesting day for sure for the market. Seeing the world indices here. Definitely watching the ASX closely as a clue for the miners. We went through that in our elite group. Why that's important. Metals are red. Yeah, silver is now sporting a lower low on a little swing. That should push us back down out of the box. So that may start the top-in process here. So yeah. All right, guys, that's all.